Hey guys, this is Eric. Today I'm going to be answering 10 questions that I found through another YouTube channel called Love Raw Vegan. And Brianna from that channel had answered the same questions as part of a vegan tag. And I thought I'd jump aboard and answer the same ones. So I'm going to just rattle through these quickly and hopefully it'll be entertaining for you. All right, so the first question is, how long have you been vegan? And I went vegan 15 years ago, around 2000, and I'm not sure exactly the day, because I really didn't expect to be really doing it this long, but it was right after the new year, and yeah, it's been 15 years. Okay, so the second question is, why did you become vegan? My wife and I became vegan after losing 2 dogs to cancer. Now, we love those dogs very much. And at the time, it didn't make sense to us why we would, have other animals killed, and treated poorly, essentially, just for our consumption or, for clothing or entertainment and things like that. And, it really didn't click for us why we had this kind of separation. So at the time, we kind of moved away from using animal products, but we really did it quickly. It was something that I guess once we made that connection that, all animals essentially value their own lives and we really shouldn't be treating them like property, then that made it very easy to just switch right away. And, there are many reasons why I maintain my vegan lifestyle. Health, environment, obviously the ethical reasons. There's food scarcity, water resources. There's just so many things I think that are important to consider that, the vegan lifestyle essentially encompasses all those values that I have. So question number 3 is, were you vegetarian before going vegan? And for me, no, I wasn't. Once I made the connection, it was just straight out veganism from there. I think a lot of people that go from vegetarian to vegan, I think they're stuck in this mindset that, we're not killing anything for milk, we're not harming any animals for eggs, and other products like that. But, the reality is we're still treating those animals as property. And also, whether people know it or not, animals are dying for, the dairy and egg industry. So, for example, for cows, obviously, in order to get milk from a cow, the cow has to be lactating. And for them to be lactating, they have had to have been pregnant at some point. So, in most dairy farms, they artificially impregnate the cows. Then after the calf is born, the calf is often taken away if it's male, and then slaughtered, usually as veal. And then if it's a female cow, then it essentially goes back into producing milk. So, it's like a cycle of slavery that I don't support. And, if anyone's on the fence, and they're vegetarian, I would suggest you really look into those reasons why you really should be going full vegan. And, again, this really includes all of these animals that we don't believe we're harming, especially chickens. It really just, it doesn't make sense to support one form of cruelty over another when really we should not support any of those. So the fourth question is, what did your family think? And, I'm really trying to remember back that far, but I think a lot of it was, I get the impression anyway that they figured it was maybe just a fad, like just some phase that I was going through, and I would essentially or eventually snap out of it at some point. But it kind of, that never changed. It didn't go away. I didn't really go back. So eventually they got used to the idea, and there's no conflict anymore. I don't think there's any issues anymore. They understand where I'm coming from, and they respect that. So question number 5 is, have you had any resistance from family and friends? And, I'll be honest, I think the majority of the resistance has been from complete strangers, I'll be quite honest. So people on the internet, for example, that don't understand, the reasons why I would be vegan. I think they probably have the the most negativity towards it. But, people that know me, they get it. I think it's easier for them to understand. So question number 6 is it hard not to eat meat? And no, the answer is no, it's absolutely not hard. It's quite easy, actually, because once you figure out that there are so many other foods out there that taste far better than meat, it doesn't even become an issue anymore. I don't crave it. I don't think I've ever craved it. Now, mind you, I don't have specific cravings for anything in particular anyway, but meat was never one of those things that I just always had to try to replicate and, always looking for the best fake meats or anything like that. No, not really. I think, once you learn how to prepare food and season it well, I mean, you can make anything taste great. But having said that, there are a lot of fake meat products out there. There's one, I think, called Beyond Meat, which I haven't tried myself, but it apparently is extremely authentic. So, I mean, if anyone has those kind of challenges, it shouldn't be too hard to switch over to a different flavor that would be very, very similar to what you're used to. Now, having said that, I mean, our taste buds change. If you're used to having a lot of salt in your diet and then you remove salt, things taste bad for a while, but then you adjust. Your taste buds adjust to that. Same thing when you eliminate sugar from your diet. And I would imagine it's the same thing when you eliminate meat and dairy and eggs. Your body essentially starts to adjust and becomes accustomed to new flavors, and you really start to enjoy those new flavors. So yeah, it's never been an issue for me. And I think for people that do have issues, it tends to be very short term. So question number 7 is, what are some of your favorite foods? And, food for me has been a bit of a complicated topic because I've had Crohn's disease for, the last 7 years or so. Food has never been something that I could really enjoy, especially, during the worst of flares. But, since having my ostomy, I've been able to enjoy food again. I'm really getting back into that sort of thing. But, I'm a very simple guy when it comes to food. For me, a very plain rice dish is more than enough. Some potatoes, more than enough. But I would say the food that I really, really missed when I couldn't eat much food would be salads. And, there's just so many ways to make a good salad. There's so many types of dressings you can add to salads that, it really becomes one of those things that if I could never eat again, but I had one choice of food, it would have to be a salad. And even if it's a basic salad, it would be miles over any other food that I could pick. Now, that's not to say that I don't enjoy other foods. I absolutely enjoy other foods. But if there was one food that I would miss, it would have to be salad. Now, some of the other foods that I enjoy, I like potatoes. I think they're versatile, cheap. They're very nutritious. You can really do a lot with them. And I always have potatoes stocked, somewhere in the kitchen. I'm a huge fan of fruit. And, you get me a good Pink Lady apple, I'll be cloud 9 all day. I mean, I just really enjoy fruit. Unfortunately, fruit tends to be one of those things where, they are pretty expensive. So you have to either buy with the season or really shop for deals. But, when, I have access to berries and things like that, I enjoy them thoroughly. So, food, there isn't really much that I don't like. Let me put it that way. So question number 8 is, what are some of your favorite treats? Now, I'm not really a junk food guy. I don't like sweets per se, but I do enjoy fruits of all kinds. So, melons, berries, that sort of thing. That's usually what I'll have as my treat. Sometimes I'll splurge on some, organic strawberries and, that I'll call it a day. But, since being on prednisone, eating like sugars, processed sugars, that sort of thing, sweets, I find that my teeth just hurt. They're very sensitive now after being on prednisone. So, I don't really enjoy that. I don't actually enjoy the way I feel after eating junk food. So I really try to minimize those. And even my treats tend to be things like, home fries or, something like that. So yeah, I'm really not that type of person to, to have cheat days or anything like that where, I stray off a healthy diet. But, the things that I do enjoy tend to be the stuff that I don't eat very often. So some of the, more expensive fruits and that sort of thing. So question number 9 is, do you spend more or less on food since going vegan? Now, I don't remember really what the food prices were like 15 years ago. I would imagine they're very different from what they are now. But we do have more of a variety now, I would say, with a lot of the mock meat products and non-dairy milks and that sort of thing. Now, if you focus a lot on those products, then things can get quite expensive. But when I go grocery shopping, I buy a lot of the, raw ingredients. So I'm buying like bulk grains, legumes. I do get a lot of the like canned beans and things like that, which end up being pretty inexpensive when you compare them to something like meat. But, for the most part, I cook all my meals. So, everything essentially is just the raw ingredients. And then I just make a meal from there. And doing it that way, I can really get a lot of food for very, very low cost. So, I've had people at the checkout, the grocery store, when they see the total of my bill, they're like, you got a lot of food. How is that even possible? But, when you go through and look at what I've bought, there are very, very few packaged products there. There are very few, products that have empty calories there. I don't buy Cokes and energy drinks and things like that. So, it naturally lowers the price of food, and once you start to learn how to shop and, look for certain patterns, especially when you're buying seasonally, you can get really great deals on food and have an abundance of food there at a very, very low price. So I think for some people that believe that, eating plant-based diets are very expensive, I think you have to understand that, everybody has a minimum requirement, really, of fruits and vegetables. You have to eat a certain amount of fruits and vegetables to stay healthy. Nuts and seeds, yeah, they tend to be very expensive, but, everybody should be eating some form of nuts and seeds. They do have benefits, health benefits, that are worth, looking into and purchasing those products. Now, that's not to say, go out and eat pounds of almonds, but, an ounce of nuts here and there are really going to benefit your health. When you look at other products like grains, huge benefits to whole grains. Now, that's assuming you're buying whole grains. If you're buying, packaged processed food that have some form of grain in there, it's probably not going to be a very good product for your health. So, when you go out and buy the whole grains, oats, for example, I'm a huge fan of oatmeal, especially the steel-cut oats, which you do have to cook a little longer, but it's less processed, more nutritious, and it's not a very expensive product. So you can keep your budget really low when you're buying plant-based foods. You just have to know, how to do it, and you do have to cook for yourself if you want to save the greatest amount of money from your grocery budget. So the last question is whether or not I would be raising my kids vegan. Now, I have 2 kids, ages 10 and 12 right now, and they've been born and raised vegan. And that's something that really wasn't too big of a challenge. I think raising a kid is a challenge, but raising a vegan kid, for the most part, is just the same as raising a non-vegan kid. So we have the same concerns about nutrition and, eating habits and things like that. But I would say the biggest challenges for us usually came around social time. So, for example, if our kids were invited to a birthday party, chances are they're going to have non-vegan cake. Chances are they're going to have, pizza or something with pepperoni and cheese on it. How did we get over those challenges? So, for the most part, we may have sent our kids to the party with their own little snack or treat, vegan treat that we would make. A lot of the times, though, we found that the parents were able to accommodate quite a few different people, especially vegans, because there tend to be kids there that, might have had a dairy allergy or an egg allergy. So, a lot of the times there would be vegan foods there that, just happen to be there, not because of my kids, but because of the requirements of some of the other kids. But I think now it's far easier because, veganism is more mainstream. I think it's far easier for people to be raising their kids vegan, and, for the parents of their friends to accept the fact that your kid is vegan, because it's out there in the open, it's mainstream. There are so many, celebrities that are vegan, and it's really nothing that's out of the ordinary anymore. My daughter's met a few vegan friends, in her own school. We know quite a few vegan parents that are raising vegan kids. So, that's not an issue anymore. There's so many more resources now to connect with other people that are raising vegan kids. There are so many books available now on raising vegan kids. So many ways to get your kid to eat healthfully and things like that. So that's really not a non-issue. Now, we do have to still supplement, for example, with B12 or vitamin D. These are things that we would normally be supplementing anyway because of the vegan diet, but also more as an assurance. A lot of kids don't get out in the sun much, especially here in Canada, where we don't see the sun very often throughout the year. So, something like vitamin D, it's just one of those things that, we supplement for our kids. There are other things like prenatal vitamins, for example. My wife was taking prenatal vitamins. Now, they do make vegan-specific ones, so they'll substitute some of the ingredients for plant-based versions. So, those really weren't issues. But I think it's far easier now to be able to do that versus, 10 or 12, 13 years ago, when there just wasn't a whole hell of a lot of information on the internet. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've got any other questions you'd like me to answer, I'd be more than happy to. But until next time, catch you later, and have a great day.